I don't think that we fully comprehend what it means when we say we are raising our vibration to a new dimension. What we perceive as the spiritual world, a non-physical reality, a reality that appears to be physical. This implies things that we don't give true credit to. It implies that the spiritual world that we believe exists beyond the body, we're turning this into that, or we're coming up to that point of energy, an expression of the energy. The themes in our lives, in our individual lives, and in the collective, the themes that exist there is its own spiritual battle. So we are effectively already in the spiritual world. So the physical, we see it as physical, but the interactions is all spiritual and energetic, right? So as we raise our frequency, the frequency of our consciousness to a higher dimensional reality, what seemed to be a physical war, what seemed to be a physical reality, takes on the shape, energy, and form of a spiritual nature. This is why you're able to feel with such depth now, and nothing that you're perceiving with your eyes will be able to fool your higher senses. You're sensing beyond what's being displayed. What's being displayed is only there because your senses are collapsing God's infinite energy into that particular experience. So, effectively, we are already in the spirit realm. We're already there. A lot of us that are on this quote-unquote wavelength, we are looking in on this realm and see all the themes of the realm. That means that you are observing it from a fifth dimensional or higher perspective, looking at life, looking at all the themes, looking at all the stories that are being told. We're seeing it from a higher vantage point as opposed to being enthralled in it. It's as if we've climbed out from that dimension or raised your vibration from that. So now you're able to look in on it. But again, the things that implies is astronomical, right? For your own individuated consciousness and your own experience in the now. It means really that you are quite literally inhabiting a universe of your own making. You are no longer stuck to particular perspectives of the so-called outer world. You're able to see beyond the so-called outer world through inner vision. And remember, the inward vision, yeah, and the inward dwelling consciousness is the reason for the so-called outer world. So you always bring yourself back to yourself, effectively collapsing this universe, choosing from mind which universe you'd like to inhabit in a vibratory way, opening your eyes, and there you are, right? It's more of a dreamscape reality than it's ever been because we don't understand what raising your vibration implies. It implies we are quite literally inhabiting the spiritual world now. Now, we only keep appearing to be physical to one another because we are all doing this on that vibration. And yet, as we raise our vibration, we are reaching to the realms of no time, no space, abstract reality, nothing standing still, synchronicities. You're looking in on that third dimensional material reality from the higher vantage point, but not only looking at it from a higher vantage point, you're creating it from that higher vantage point as you're enthralled in it. I hope that makes sense. If this, okay, if I am the dreamer of life, the reason, and life is a projection of my consciousness, which would mean that it's a dream as well. I'm the dreamer and it's the dream, but I am both, because it's being projected from my beingness. I'm just interacting with it as if it's not a part of me, because my senses, as I say all the time, try to dictate that there's something out there to be interacted with. But in all reality, there's an energy that makes us all who we are and makes everything that we see what it is. And we are bringing ourselves back to that dimension of non-physical reality. We are the new spirits. We keep thinking about the body, but we are truly energy. We are truly spirit. So we are the new spirits inhabiting these higher dimensions now. You are quite literally in your light now. This is why when you're around particular people, your vibration is at such a degree that you're quite literally, you aren't even a body at this point. You're purely light, and they can't stand to be around that particular vibration because the way that they're vibrating is not right or wrong. It's not right or wrong. It's just vibrational resonance, right? Most people are stuck in matter. They're stuck in the senses. They're stuck in the senses and what the senses displays and dictates to them. But trying to bring it home where there is a reality that is beyond the senses. And if that's the case, and there's a reality that's beyond what I'm immediately perceiving, there must be a way for me. I must be one intimately and inseparably connected to that. It's just that my senses don't allow me to see what connects me to the wall, to the sun, to you. My senses aren't allowing me to perceive that. But when you raise the vibration of your being, you start to sense and perceive the ties that bind you to everything, in feeling and even in perception. When you're manifesting and you're moving the material world out of your way to manifest a particular thing, that should imply to you that you have dominion over what you perceive as the material world, and that's why you're so powerful. But it takes a surrendering, a pure surrendering to what is in your presence, period. Just that. Surrendering to that. But that happens in the silence. It happens in the alone time, which we are afraid to interact with. Because the voice of that part of you is so profound, so abstract, so poetic. It can be frightening to the mind of the mundane. When these concepts are introduced to the human mind, and we've been perceiving reality for thousands and thousands of years a particular way and not realizing what reality really was, it's deeply ingrained in every cell of our body and every portion of our DNA to think the way that we think. So when we introduce concepts about spirituality and life, people tend to reject it energetically because their body won't even allow that energy to be downloaded in them. It's not a match vibrationally because of what human beings have been thinking for thousands of years. But we're shaking the dust off and the cobwebs off of this particular dimension, meaning the dimension of physicality, the third dimension, which we've already left. Most of us are already gone from there. Hence the reason why we're looking in on the story from a fifth dimensional perspective, saying, I know this is about to happen. I know this is about to happen. Oh, I knew they were going to pull out that one. I knew they were going to do that. The theys being those spirits that are still playing in the third dimension that seem to have bodies. It's all spirits. We're all spirits. We're all souls. We're all energy. We're just playing in the body. And yet it's still the spirit. It's the energy that makes the body what it is. The third dimension gives you a vision of that spirit in this form. A vision of the spirit in the form of the sun, the vision of this consciousness, whatever you want to call it, in these different forms. Make sense? It's energy. It's energy. And you have been raising your vibration to another dimension, to another reality. And in this reality, the knowledge of the fact that you create reality comes about and it dawns on you. Let me say that again. In the raising of your vibration and reaching another dimension, when you get to this particular dimension, this is when the realization dawns on you that you've been controlling the whole thing the whole time, just from this higher dimension of thought. You just was on autopilot for a while within what you call the third dimension. So you weren't connected fully to the part of you that makes this what it is. So in that thought, you can rest assured that what you call the third dimension has already been eradicated. It's already over. It's already done. It's over. In that way, we have reached a new dimension, period. We're existing in another dimension. In the now, right here, right? Not tomorrow, not yesterday. Don't go to your mind. Stay right here with me, right? As long as you stay right here and you stay right now, in the most literal way, there's nothing that can come into your reality that can harm you, right? Because you're in the moment where the decision to think about a particular next moment is to be made. Listen to me. Within this moment is the opportunity for the human you or the soul you to think a particular thought for another moment that it will experience, right? So it's always the moment where you create. It's always the moment where God is. It's always the moment where all of the stories of existence lie, no matter what story human beings are telling. It's infinity. But it dawns on you that there's a fullness of God that encompasses all thought, all things, all realities. It's all that one being in just varying degrees of itself. So from that higher dimension, no one's right and wrong. That's dualism within that particular dimension of this and that and right and left and up and down. But the whole picture, the 360 view, the skybox view, you can see all of it. You can see the ties that bind you in your particular incarnation, in your story. You can see the ties that bind you to all the people in your life and even to the bigger, broader story of humanity. You see your part in it and place in it. And that's just on the physical level. Now, on the spiritual level, you are the reason for it all. But on the story level, you have this body and you're acting this out and all that good stuff. But that's just a space suit, so to speak, a body flesh suit that the spirit is using to observe this reality and interact with it. Okay? So we came from higher realms. We lowered our vibration to experience this reality. We accumulated particular thoughts about ourselves, particular thoughts about reality. We accumulated those thoughts in that lower dimension of life. The themes that are playing out in our lives are those thoughts from thousands of years, especially in this incarnation, because this is the end. This is the end of that cycle of the way human beings have been interacting with each other and creating karma, right? Because thoughts are things, thoughts are entities, thoughts are beings. So it's words, all of that, it's spirits, it's energy, it's all you, right? But it still has an existence to it. Okay? So in this dimension, as we are high, ancient, primordial beings. Yeah? From a realm that exists beyond this one. This one is a shadow of that one. So as we're in this shadow to play the game, you have to ward off the shadows, meaning lower entities or thoughts, lower versions of your energy that we call thought, that we call emotion and all that stuff. That exists in a particular plane, in a particular dimension, and those entities run that dimension, are fighting that. or that dimension of energy, not just the actions of war, not just the actions of anger, the energy and spirit of it that manifests as actions and things like that. There's a spirit of it. That's why that particular spirit inhabits many different bodies. The spirit of anger, yeah, the energy of anger, the vibration of anger inhabits particular bodies. It's not that this person's worse than this person. It's just that this person might have mechanisms within their body that doesn't allow that spirit of anger to make them flustered, and some don't. But it's all interchangeable as well. So thoughts, spirits, energies, all interchangeable. Words that still mean the same thing from my perspective. So we're in this dimension to ward off the negative thoughts that we've been experiencing and expressing for thousands of years as human souls. And that story, there's many stories, but just to give you a glimpse of what it could be, potentially. Okay? Yeah. And we are not in that other realm anymore. We're are the angels now. We are the Elohim. We've reached, oh my God Almighty. As third dimensional beings, we expressed and experienced reality as third dimensional beings, but we were never really third dimensional beings. We are beings that existed in a higher realm. Without that knowledge, we lived life that way. Okay? Knowledge, vibration, energy, all that. We lived in a particular dimension of God's existence. The real us lives in another vibration. We have effectively alchemized our third dimensional experience to reach that version of ourselves. We are the angels now. We are the angels we are the angels that we sent back to converse with the humans, with the other versions of ourselves. Listen to me. The angels that you think that you pray to, that's us. We have reached that vibrational point to where we've breached time, to where we've become it again. I hope that makes sense. I hope that is digestible. Because you're playing with time now. And you're playing with a beyond time entity who is really you. That's who you really are. And in this, you're not supposed to be able to perceive a higher dimension from a lower one, right? A two-dimensional reality, as a third-dimensional being looking in on it, the two-dimensional reality is not aware of the third dimension. It's not aware of it. Does that make sense? Okay, so how is it that we are aware of the fifth dimension, meaning we are aware of the ties that bind us to everything within reality? That means that we must be there. We've breached that realm of 3D thinking, of time, space, matter. Now we're in the realms that exist beyond that, and we're able to perceive from that reality. As I said, a lower dimension is not supposed to be aware of a higher dimension. It's not supposed. We think from a third dimensional linear time, space between each other. We think in terms of 3D. I can see around you. I can see, instead of being able to perceive the ties that bind everything that seems to be separate from one another together. And now we've reached the realms where we can see the togetherness, not only in energy, but even in the physical reality that seems to be separate from us. Because now we're beginning to see our soul or our spirit manifest as objects and things. And we're realizing that, oh, nah, like, that is really me. Like, I'm manifesting the synchronicity. I'm manifesting the license plate. I'm manifesting all of that. I am moving what is perceived as matter, which has always been energy, into another form. Do you understand what I'm telling you? You are reaching this. If you're even here able to withstand me saying this, means that you're at a level of energy to where you're ready for it. And because I'm speaking from a higher dimensional perspective, right? And if you're strictly a third dimensional thinking being, you won't comprehend what I'm saying to you, because you see life in those terms, in that regard, in a third dimensional way. Separation, time, space, all that. You see life in that dimension. Yeah. And I can be around you and still be perceiving from the higher dimension. But your energy and your perspective within this dimension gets into my aura, and then I start thinking third dimensionally again. That's what we call getting rocked to sleep with the distractions that are existing within the third dimension. When I'm talking about the matrix and all of those things that are playing out, that's third dimensional realities playing out. You're separate, you're over there, money, war, separation. That's a dimension of where you perceive yourself to be separate from everything else. That movie's playing out because that's your movie, because you were interacting with the reality as if it was real. It was always about you, never about the outer world. The outer world was the screen of your mind. Makes sense? So you were interacting with the screen of your mind as if it was real. That's a third dimensional perspective, meaning you think that there's something other than you out there that's localizable, that you could look over and around, you could touch, you can grab and pick it up. That's a third dimensional way of existing within infinity. Like the live, share the live, give gifts if you feel called to. I appreciate every single one of y'all. I really, really do. Thank y'all for being here. Thank you for being. You can't not be. You've always existed. And this is the crazy thing about it. You can't not be. You're the reason. And that's what's dawning on us with such depth that it's so hard for us to want to be in the silence, because in that silence, that presence is so powerful. Your presence is what you're afraid of. That's the energy that you're feeling. You're not feeling anything else. You're feeling your presence, and everything and everyone lives within your presence. Hear what I'm saying to you. Everything, everyone, every thought, everything lives within your presence. That's the pressure and power that you're hearing and feeling when you turn those lights off and you're afraid to just be. Because you're experiencing the real fullness of who you are, which is frightening. Because you're very powerful, and far more powerful than you've put yourself within that box to be. And in that box, things felt comfortable, and the vibrations of those things felt comfortable. But when you cut the lights off and you're in the silence of your fullness, that thing's like, yeah, what's up now? I'm here now. You can't block me out. You can't drown me out. You can't eat me out. You can't distract me out. Turn the light off, listen. And when you do, you will hear me. God, I am you. We are one. This is it. It's just me and you. This is the relationship. The father, the mother is you. It's this right here. There's nothing else but that entity, that being, that energy. And everybody that you think you're seeing is just a part of that same thing, having that same experience with that one energy, trying to figure itself out through itself, through the Moon T character and you and whatever you do in your reality. This is why I say rest assured. You have to rest assured that the spirit of God, consciousness, whatever you want to call it, is has already moved you to another dimension. You did it. You did it by raising your vibration of your mind, which is your consciousness, which is the outer reality. So you've effectively raised the vibration of this dimension. You've changed dimensions. You moved matter out. You've moved matter out of the third dimension and brought it into the lower fourth dimension. And you kept going up, and now you think that you only think that you're still in the third dimension because you see things, you keep interacting with things, but now you're looking at it like quite literally sandcastles and playthings almost. Not quite literally, but almost. It's right there on the cusp of being a plaything. But it is and it isn't, and it is because it's really just my energy projected outwardly. It's me. And I'm interacting with me thinking, oh, what am I in? What is this? Whoa. Do you guys know what this is? Talking to other dreamers, talking to other versions of myself. Do you guys know what this is? But it's always been within me and within you. And then we come back out here every time. Hey, what do you think about this? What's your perspective on all of this? Who are we? What the fuck are we doing? Right? But then the more you go within yourself with depth, you realize that we all live there. That's why you feel the oneness between, you feel the energies between each other, because in all reality, we exist within each other. You're really just feeling your own energy. You literally feel it within yourself. And it seems to be being projected from another, but it all lives in you. But you react to particular emotions because that's just how you were bred to react to them. Fear you give more credence to because you're used to it. So when you feel a fearful thought, and you associate yourself as your thoughts and emotions, so when you feel these things, you go into that story in your mind, which is the reason for any of this. goes into that reality, creates that reality for you, then the next moments or whenever you get the feedback loop of that energy that you were putting out while you were daydreaming. And usually daydreaming, thinking about lower vibratory things, lower energies, third dimensional things, meaning fears and separation and money and relationships and life, and you're thinking it's something other than you. And look at they're acting and playing out their roles because they still believe that they're not God. They believe that they're the human, and the human is just a vehicle for God. So they think that they're the vehicle. And since you're perceiving from a higher dimension, knowing that the fullness of God inhabits these vehicles, you know that. So you're interacting with them, and that energy is heavy that they're giving off. And your energy is heavy for them because it's two different dimensions trying to interact with each other. Right? But we're getting quote unquote further and further away from that dimension. Hence the reason why you've been separating yourself from particular energies, and some energies have just been separating themselves from you. It's magnetics. We think it's all personal and everything. Everything is happening for a reason. Energy and moving parts. Everything's moving. Energy. Everything. But we have this stake within the story, like, oh, I broke up with my girl or this, and all that's energy. Everything needs to be moved in accordance with the one. And everything needs to be moved so that that one can finally figure it out. Right? So you lose particular people, you do particular things, you pray, you meditate. All of those things leave your life in a way so that you can finally listen to that voice, because all the things within your life were that voice in the first place, just externalized. What that part of you is telling you now is that you don't need to be so addicted to the externalization of your thoughts, meaning the places, the people, the dramas, the energies, even the politics, all of that. That's the externalization of the infinite mind in this particular realm. Okay? You can associate yourself as the one, the reason that is observing that. But you have to take all of those experiences within yourself and feel it. Without fear, without judgment, just feeling it. Oh, I feel all of existence. I feel the wars, and I feel the stories of human beings, and I hear the stories of extraterrestrials. I hear the stories of angels. I hear all of these things about physics, and I'm allowing all of it to be a part of me, so that I can kind of like my own lie detector, almost my own spiritual. I see, okay, that's good. No, I don't like that perception. I like that one. Yeah, this is a good one. Boom. Oh no, that one's not. And you're pulling from each perspective energies that you become, and get a mirror of that in reality. I hope that makes sense. I just went. But ultimately, you inhabit the dimension and the frequency that you're in. You inhabit that dimension. I don't care what you keep looking out and seeing people and seeing things. And as soon as you see people and you see things within this, I don't even want to call it the third dimension anymore, but the mirror of your mind, when you see it, you associate them as that character. You associate it. That's a car. That's a tree. You associate it as that story that the humans have created, as opposed to realizing that everything that's outside of you lives within you. And we just labeled it and named it money and this and that. So you're living from that dimension. God is lost there in perception, not actually lost. It's always been here. It's just in the perception that everything is God. You think that there is something other than God, something that's a sun and something that's this and that and you and me and that. But everything is God. And that was the nightmare, that there was only one God and there was all these separate parts, and we were all afraid and we don't know where's God, and trying to find God and looking for God in the physical reality, when the physical reality was the shadow of God. It's a shadow of a higher dimension. So everything is literally everything. There's nothing that's not that. So you are the son, you are the daughter, you are the one, you are the reason, you are the one. And God is your father or your mother, however you want to look at it, or God is yourself. However you'd like to perceive it, that thing doesn't care how you perceive it, as long as you finally remember. That's what it cares about, that you remember. It's like, I don't care how you receive it. Do physics, do spirituality, do just wake up, because it's all me. All of it's me. All the studies, all the books, all the songs, all the poems, all of the brilliance and richness of life, all the beauties, all the perspectives of the human beings within it. Yeah, all of that is me. As the humans within a third dimensional perspective rage debates about it, it's all the one. Deep within you, you really want to just completely cut off, because you're seeing it all as energies now. Thank you, Danny B. I appreciate you truly. Yeah. It's energies. So work is an energy. Yeah. Home, energy, all of that is a particular energy. And usually those energies have, they're lower vibratory, and you can feel that it exists in a third dimensional perspective of work and business and that reality, which is a valid reality, and yet it's still a reality that can bind you to the perception of third dimensional thinking. So you feel as if you don't want to interact with that. You know, I don't want to go to work because then I'm this character and I play this role and I have to be that. When I know that I am the one, that's that real energy that you're feeling. You're like, I feel that I am all that is. And yet I'm confined to this particular space and this label, and I got to do this. And if I don't do this right, then, oh God, you feel those energies that aren't indicative of who you really are. I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I'm going to have to screen record this or download this. This is good stuff. Right? And that's just reality in general. You don't want to feel bound by anything, least your body. But the body is usually the first thing that the spirit or the soul is bound by, or the perception of the senses that the body emits that makes the body want things, that keeps the body bound to 3D, desire and want and I need. And in that I need, you end up interacting with the things that give you what you need. Food and shelter and this and all this. Humans agree that we do money for this. I need this. Oh, she's sex. Oh, sex. Oh, yeah. Food. Oh, overindulgence. Third dimensional, keeping you wrapped in the senses, the smells, the taste. Keeping you wrapped in the senses with when I told you that the senses aren't giving you the full picture of what reality is. So if you're trapped in what the senses are dictating to you, and you keep looking for pleasures, and you keep doing this, and you keep following what the senses are dictating to you, you are a puppet on the string. You are the NPC following a program, my sweet friends. Can you dig it? Yeah, like that. Like that. Puppet on the string of the emotions and the feelings of the body, pushing you, go get it, eat it, drink it. Like the loud shit, the life gives if you feel called to. If this is making any sense to you, I appreciate you for being here. This is the transmutation. This is the end right here. This is it. Oh, also, what's so beautiful about this energy that or this dimension that I'm coming from a different dimension of thought and mind. You are too, because you're here, but here we go. Yeah. From this particular now, all other matrix controlled systems are shut down. Feel what I'm trying to say to you. You don't exist in that dimension anymore. You may even be interacting with it still, but it doesn't seem, feel, and the expression of it isn't real. It's like, this is not what life really is. And I know that now. Right? So in a way, you are materializing and manifesting ways for you to be able to get out of that. Because you're in another dimension, you can't interact with that energy anymore. in many ways. That goes for particular humans, because again, we're all spirits. Some of us just have bodies. We have bodies, and there are spirits that don't inhabit bodies, right? And there's all these spiritual realities and spiritual wars, I guess you can call it, for lack of a better term, going on. Spirits battling with each other, particular vibrations, gluttony, lust, all these energies. These are energies that are battling through the humans, because the human isn't aware of the spiritual nature of the feelings, of the desire. The human isn't. The human hasn't uncovered that dimension yet. It has, but I'm just saying for sake of understanding where we came from. The human wasn't able to perceive the dimensions where emotions come from and thoughts come from. They just were experiencing them and feeling like they were at the whim of those things or entities or beings, what we call thoughts and emotions. They exist in a different dimension. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's in the silence where we feel the uncomfortableness of our true presence, where we reinforce the third dimensional reality. Let me explain it to you. In the silence is all there is when you're just chilling and being. You're not on your phone. You're not doing any of that stuff. You're just observing. You're just being. You're experiencing the true presence that is you. Okay? But when that presence becomes overwhelming, or you think a particular thought that gives you anxiety, you instantly fall on your subconscious trigger, which is to grab your phone or do something that feels comfortable outside of that presence and those thoughts that don't really need anything but to be felt and experienced. But you run away from the thoughts in your habits. Food, and I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that, senses, I gotta to numb myself from whatever it is that I'm really trying to convey to myself. Your higher dimensional reality is trying to convey a particular message to you. And in the silence is where you hear, but you're afraid to be in the silence because you're so third dimensional thinking that you think you think too many things is really the problem, because you think that everything is separate from you. You're thinking in that way. So you're thinking that things are coming to harm you. You think that way because you perceive separation. So the higher dimensional you knows the whole picture, and it knows that everything is one. So it's trying to get the message to you that, hey, worry is for no reason, because you're just in a cycle of your own creation. It's you. There's nothing really, you can never really be harmed. You can feel as if you've been harmed, but even if you drop this body, it's as if you just woke up. That's how this works, right? Because you're leaving the body that exists within this third dimension, and you're like essentially going home, so to speak. And then you from there, you're like, all right, I'm gonna jump into this one now. And that's what you're doing right now. That's what you just did. I told you, listen to me. You ready? You ready? Are you freaking ready? You are the one who decided to have the experience of separation. When did you do that? When did you decide to have that experience? Somebody write it in the comments if you know where I'm going with this. If you are the one that decided to have the experience of separation in the moments all there is, when did you decide to do that? Now. Even that's an illusion. Before the born, before thoughts, that it exists in another dimension. Listen to me. The now is all there is. When I say that time is an illusion, you have to understand what that implies. That implies that there's only right here and there's only right now. There is no time. You only think about the next second. You only think about tomorrow. You only think about, and you have sensory things that happen around you that make you feel like time is elapsing, seasons and things like that, but it's always been the now. Listen to what I'm telling you. If you stayed in the now, it was up to you to stay in the now, not get rocked to sleep by particular thoughts and go to another dimension. You were supposed to stay in the dimension of the now where all dimensions exist, where you made the decision consciously to come to this realm just now. But you perceive time. You perceive a tomorrow. I got work and I got to do, it's the boob, it's that, and you're thinking about these things in the eternal now, where you're the eternal now that your soul and consciousness has been waiting for forever, but not really waiting because it's always the now, but waiting in a linear way because you kept escaping the now in thought. So every time you capture yourself, you're like, oh, finally, I'm back. Okay, I'm back. Let's not go anywhere else again in mind. We stay here. No matter if we go down a mile down the road, we'll stay in the now. No matter if we go 10 hours away, we'll stay in the now, because in that now is where all potential existence resides. You're not choosing from a particular thought when you leave. See, when you leave the now, where you made a decision to experience a time and space reality, you are effectively going back home and pulling from a reality to experience as a mirror in this reality. So that's what thinking is. When you think a particular thought or projection about the so-called future or the so-called past, you are generating a particular energy in the ethers. You feel it when you're thinking. You feel it. You're generating that reality, and then you end up inhabiting that reality because energetically you've sent out that signal and you generated that energy. So you have to experience that within your sphere, so to speak. Right now, right here. Can you agree? Let's break it down. Can you agree that everybody that is a human being, we all exist right now? We can agree that right now, it's right now, right? Yeah. So it's always really the now. Each human being is thinking particular thoughts and moving themselves into what they perceive as another moment or time. It's all right now. Trump, you, me, the extraterrestrials, the different beings, the angels, all of it's now. You only think that it's some tomorrow and maybe one day, and that goes with your dreams as well. Everything is right here with you. It's so powerful in its presence that the human body isn't used to feeling that. If now only exists, growth doesn't exist. But that's not true. It's a spiral, right? So it only seems to be movement. It only seems to be growth, but it was always the now. Listen to what I'm saying to you. In a linear way from linear thinking, you plant the seed, you water the seed, you watch it grow. All of those events were truly illusions within the now, because when it becomes the tree, you can't perceive when it was. You only think about when it was a seed. And listen to what I'm saying. This is the beauty and the poetry of different dimensions. It's all happening now. It's hard to perceive. It's a paradox. It's hard to perceive that way because we constantly think in terms of time. But we are the ones that look in on time from the now. That's why it feels like everything is happening so fast. And time is moving fast, but it's not that time is moving fast. It's just that more and more spirits are realizing that they all exist right now. More and more spirits with bodies are what you call human beings. More and more souls with bodies or what you call human beings are realizing it. Oh shit. It's right here, guys. It's right here. I can't quite see it. Some of us can. Some of us can see the ties that bind us all together. Some of us can see the orbs. Some of us can see the what we call spirits. But I watched a young man. He's a brilliant young man. I just followed him, and he said something brilliant. Okay? He said, as we move through dimensions, I'm going to tag him in this when I post this. As we move through dimensions, the beings that we perceive to have inhabited those dimensions, we become them. Think about it. If we're changing dimensions and reaching a higher dimension from the third dimension, us perceiving angels, it literally is us. It's just that it's happening in reverse. You are raising your vibration to that dimension to where you realize that you were always in that dimension, and it was you guiding you always back to the now. It is a paradox and is the greatest one of all time. So the you that's here right now, the you that's here right now is the you that was guiding you to this moment, because this is who you became in this time. Listen to me, baby. Yeah. Timelines, realities. Okay. 100% quantum leaping. But now from this vantage point, you perceive that there's infinite possibilities to what this can be. And you're not limiting yourself to believe that it's all stuck in place, because that's the biggest of illusions, because there really is nothing that's standing still. It's more of a dream reality. And since you, the dreamer, has started to perceive things from that higher dimension of yourself, now you've become the angel, the Elohim. You've become those beings that you thought inhabited another dimension from the dimension you were in. Listen to me. It's like, okay, I'm a third dimensional being. Then you raise your vibration. So what is this? It's always been you. You thought that you were reaching, it was always you, but you pulled yourself out of that dimension to have this experience. All to rise back and go back. It was all simultaneous. It was all here. It was all right now. I know it sounds bonkers, but you are the one that has been guiding yourself past what we perceive as the third dimension, into the fourth dimension, into the fifth dimension. It was you, that higher you're becoming your higher self effectively from the lower nature. And the lower nature living life and senses, and then you perceive that there's a higher nature to who you are, and there's a divine nature that moves you through this reality that has the mechanisms within it that can perceive the so-called future, that has precognition and intuition and ESP, and you start downloading that version of yourself into the body, all to raise the vibration of the body back to that higher self. So you are becoming the higher self in the body. We are in another dimension. In the other dimension of reality, the earth wasn't able to, the vibration of the earth wasn't powerful or at a higher vibration enough to house millions of those that exist in the higher vibrations of reality. Listen to what I'm saying to you. If earth is a third dimensional reality at a point and was vibrating in that way, if there were souls, yes, that come from the higher dimensions that wanted to come here, they can only come few and far between. Listen. This is where you have the myths and legends of particular souls that incarnate on the planet, and you call them Buddha, Tahuti, Jesus. The earth's vibration wasn't as such to where it could house enough higher vibrational souls. But those higher vibrational souls came to the earth. This is all in the now. It's all a movie. It's you. But just for sake of that, they came, helped to raise the vibration of the planet. At a certain point, that same spirit kept reincarnating to get to this moment. Right? So now it sees reflections of itself that are able, more of those reflections are able, or more of the higher self is able to infuse itself in all the other bodies, as opposed to it just being itself and then surrounded by what we would call bots, or just reincarnating souls. Oh my, oh my. So from my vantage point, I was the one that chose to incarnate on the planet Earth, to give off a particular vibration to the rest of the inhabitants, so that part of me, yeah, that's beyond time and space, that is consciousness itself, can house itself in the other bodies. from my perspective. And it should be that for you as well. You'll realize it, it'll dawn on you that you are the one that came from a higher dimension, incarnated here. Yes, you incarnated here. You were surrounded by other versions of yourself that didn't have the fullness of that beyond time and space entity. It was very earthly, those other versions of yourself. You were the only one that needed to wake up, because in you waking up, you sent that signal that it's time to wake up to the other versions of yourself. Oh, arise. All right, it's time. You didn't have to say. You didn't have to say anything. You didn't have to come on TikTok. I didn't have to come on TikTok. All I had to do was send up the vibration. But now that I'm on TikTok, expressing it in this way, you can feel the energy currents from the broadcast that I was sending out in the first place. You just feel it now because I'm talking about it. But you would have felt it anyway, even if I didn't talk about it. But you're feeling a direct energy of what I've been doing within this reality right now. And from your vantage point, it's the same. I'm good. Because you're good. Whatever you see is you. I don't even remember what else I just came up. I gotta be rewinding this and really watch this again. Yeah. Because it's really over. From my vantage point, I've finally beat the game, my own game that I created. It was only that all I had to do was perceive that it was that. That was the only thing that was necessary, because the way that it's been showing up for me has been designed to make me think that it's not me. That's how powerful I am, you are, we are, that one being that's expressing itself to us. That's the dimension that being wanted it wanted to, you, yeah, us, this, wanted to inhabit a world that seemed to be separate from it. And once it woke up to that, that's when it reached the higher dimensional self of it can see the ties that bind everything while it's in the so-called physical body and still able to have those physical sensations. So you're not waiting for the world anymore. That's not a thought. How could that be a thought? Because the world is a thought in the first place. So if the world is a thought in the first place, me adding extra projections on what I'm perceiving is only going to put me deeper in the dream. The world itself is what we would call a thought manifested as what we see and perceive. Okay? So if that's the thought in the first place, okay, this is the thought, boom, well, this is an imagination of God, boom, here we are. Okay, now when I add more thoughts on top of that, the original thought, I get lost in the dream, as opposed to realizing, okay, this just is. This is what it is right here. Okay, let's start from there. Start from zero. No perceptions of what I think it is. Let's just know that it is. Cool. Bet. From there, you realize, oh, I've just been projecting onto my own thought, other thoughts. And they've come in the form of what I call other people, but they're just other versions of me that are literally mirroring what I've been thinking in life, period. Especially in the immediate theme of this particular body who interacted with other versions of myself in a third dimensional way. So I get that feedback loop in the interactions and realities that I experience within my physical world. And then it's a mirror on a broader scale of other versions of me who are going through the same types of themes, but different stories, different colors, different hair, different stories. And yet we're all trying to reach that same perspective that it's all one, including my piece, your piece, and all the seeming pieces. That's why you have to love the story. Love who you are and love where you came from, because it all adds up into the infinity of what God is. So your story, my story, if everything is happening now, that means that all of those stories converge to this now right here. And that was the reason why we had to go through whatever we went through to get right here in the only moment that has ever existed. You're free. You're free. You're free. You're free. It's over. Chill. I know. Yeah. Still feels it. And you're still there's like these very light cinder blocks. They're not really big cinder blocks that are attached to your feet, as if you're still dragging yourself out of a particular dimension. And you don't feel that literally, but you feel that in particular interactions that you have with people, that why am I still existing in this dimension and still interacting with these energies? Why do I don't feel like I want to. I don't feel like I'm coming from this dimension. I don't feel like I come from here. Yeah. But you're moving through these dimensions. That's what they call it, a spiritual war. So the thoughts, every thought you think, everything, you're interacting with yourself. You're interacting with the spirit. You're having that conversation, that dialogue, and it all manifests in the themes of your life, the people, and all that, right? So it's about feeling the feelings that you're feeling, being aware that there are infinite energies within reality that's going to be going through your body. These are entities, these are spirits, these are other versions of you, yes, but they are spirits in their own right, energies in their own right. Like I said, the energy of lust, the spirit of lust, the spirit of greed. There's all these different spirits and energies that you're trying to ward off so that you can remember. Yeah, type shit. When you Google tetrahedron images, your background will pop up. I could dig that. I appreciate y'all for being here. Like the live, share the live, give gifts if you feel called to. If you have any questions about that long rant that I just had, drop them in the chat. I really do appreciate y'all being here. I was ranting so much that I be forgetting that I'm on here sometimes, but it's just, I need to express this because this energy that is no different than when people feel their traumas, right? People feel particular traumas within the reality that they've been experiencing. And in every moment, the only moment, they feel a burning desire to express it because the energy exists within them, right? Because they still believe that they are their experiences. So they hold those experiences as real, and they have no choice in the infinite now to get it off. I got to let this out. Right? Hence the reason why when you're around particular people, they're always talking about their traumas and the things that they go through. Or you could be having a regular conversation that you think is regular, and then it spins back to the trauma. Why am I so good? But no, seriously, it back to the trauma, right? It always spins back because they're in the now. They're subconsciously thinking about all of those things that they went through and how all of those things that they went through are creating the future for them. That's what they think. So they're always thinking as opposed to being in the now, right? So it's for us in the spiritual reality, we are interacting with so many different dimensions, that we have so many different energies within us, that we have this burning desire to express it. See, everybody's the same. It's just different vibrations of it. So I'm the same, talking because I want to express this. Same with others, right? But granted, this is the most I ever speak because I feel comfortable in the vibration with you guys. I don't talk much in the realm because most people are talking about the human stories, okay? But when I come on here, I'm in a dimension with you. We're in our own dimension, inhabiting a higher frequency, and we're able to converse with each other. Even those that breach our dimension. What do I mean by that? Trolls or those from a different frequency pop in and they're like, fuck this, and they try to interrupt their spirits. It's a war. It's a spirit. So they're coming in and they're like, fuck this, he's a liar. And okay, all right, that's how you feel, cool. But why do you feel like that? Why are those energies within you? Those are lower vibratory energies that you feel so hell-bent on expressing. That means that you exist in that dimension. I'm in a dimension of love, regardless of how you feel about reality. I'm not trying to attack you, right? This is what you're seeing on TikTok and things like that. It's energy battles with spirits and souls, ancient souls that are having these, even in the themes of your so-called life, ancient souls playing out karmic energy so that they can finally wake up to who